On May 29, 1994, John Andretti accomplished a stunning feat, becoming the first driver to race in the Indianapolis 500 and Coca-Cola 600 in the same afternoon. It was a challenge of skill, of versatility, and of strength, and it was one of the most impressive displays of driver skill imaginable, capturing the attention of all of motorsports. Curiously, Andretti accomplished this feat 2 years after losing his full-time ride in IndyCar after 34 top 10 finishes and 1 win over 6 seasons. Motivated by this setback, Andretti went out to prove he was one of the most versatile racers on the planet. In January 1993, Andretti raced in the Rolex 24 for Jaguar. In April, he was racing Top Fuel dragsters.
John Andretti didn't know if he won or not. You certainly did in your first ever contest. You take out the 5-time champ. He's not pleased.
Well, I mean, I didn't know if I won or not. I didn't see him, but, you know, you never know. I was just happy that I got down there.
But Andretti's making us all look bad. Looks easy.
Mike Dunn, John Andretti. Mike Dunn stops this Cinderella story in the semifinal round.
In May, John returned to the Indianapolis 500 in a one-off for A.J. Foyt and finished 10th. And by late summer, Andretti was testing in NASCAR with a deal to race full-time for Billy Hagan in 1994.
For the past 2 days, the top NASCAR Winston Cup teams have been here practicing in preparation for next year's Brickyard 400. Another NASCAR newcomer on this muggy Monday was no stranger to the speedway at all. IndyCar veteran John Andretti charged out in the Kellogg's car at better than 161 miles an hour.
I'm looking forward to it, and who knows, maybe I'll do both races here next year.
Please be careful because we don't know what's going to happen here. Well, they went down in turn 1. Brett Bodine pulled up behind John Andretti in the 14 car. Andretti lost it, and other cars come piling in.
And this was very unfortunate because John Andretti, of course, has not really been officially announced as a driver of this car for next year. We assume that he's going to drive it, at least here at the Brickyard 400, so it was a real unfortunate situation for John.
Coincidentally, John Andretti's first season in NASCAR would be the last in IndyCar for Mario Andretti, who would end a 30-year career at the end of the '94 season. It would also mark the second straight year the Coca-Cola 600 was held at night. Part of the reason for the change was to entice racers to compete at both Indianapolis and Charlotte in the same day. Hoping for a miracle, Charlotte Motor Speedway president Humpy Wheeler asked John Andretti if he thought his uncle Mario would run both races. But John was eager to compete in Mario's final Indy 500, and so elected to take the challenge in Mario's place. On January 19, 1994, it was officially announced that John Andretti would run the double on May 29th. With sponsorship from Jonathan Bird, John would again drive for A.J. Foyt at Indy, and then fly back to Charlotte for the Coca-Cola 600, a potential 1,100 miles of racing in one afternoon. Several drivers had raced in the Indianapolis 500 and Coca-Cola 600 in the same year. In 1970, Donnie Allison won at Charlotte and finished 4th at Indianapolis 6 days later. But this was the first time anyone tried to run both races since they were held on the same day for the first time in 1973. Andretti's early NASCAR season was marred by repeated mechanical failures. By the time practice started at Indianapolis in early May, Andretti was 37th in points and finished inside the top 25 only once. John's first day of practice for the Indy 500 was on May 9th. In this first day, Andretti was 34th quickest out of 51 different cars. By the following day, Andretti was 9 miles per hour faster and 17th quickest overall. The hardest weekend for Andretti came 2 weeks before the double. On Friday, Andretti was in Sonoma, California practicing and qualifying for the Winston Cup race. After qualifying 38th on the road course, he flew back to Indianapolis for pole day time trials on Saturday. Because of his tight schedule, Andretti needed to make the field that first day or he'd have to wait until the next weekend.
And as luck always seems to have it on these first days of time trials, Mother Nature has become a player in the game today.
A rainstorm in the middle of the day delayed qualifying for 3 hours and threatened Andretti's plans. But when the track reopened at 5 p.m., Andretti made his run, and with an average speed of 223.2 miles per hour, John qualified 10th. After flying back to Sonoma, Andretti finished 19th on the road course, his best finish in NASCAR at that point. Already qualified at Indy, Andretti spent the following weekend at Charlotte for the All-Star race. He was involved in a crash in the Winston Open and finished 35th.
On his roof, Chuck Bound.
Bound was up on his roof there for a second.
And comes sliding down the speedway.
Qualifying for the Coca-Cola 600 was held the following Wednesday. Outdoing his performance at Indy, Andretti would start a strong 9th. The following day, John was back at Indianapolis for Carb Day practice, then back again to Charlotte on Friday. Andretti's busy Sunday began at 11 a.m. in Indianapolis. Fortunately for John, the Indy 500 went smoothly and took a little over 3 hours to complete. Andretti finished 10th and immediately was rushed to a nearby plane. Andretti arrived at Charlotte shortly before the race was to begin. Because he missed the drivers' meeting, John had to give up his 9th place starting spot and take the green in last place.
Warm or cold? Glad to see John Andretti make it.
One of the great stories in American racing in recent years, John Andretti trying a heretofore thought impossible double. Randy Pemberton is with John Andretti.
Well, John Andretti, a tremendous flight down here very quickly. He looks very composed, very calm. Great run today, John. I know you got to do this real quick. You're strapping in, but a little bit of strategy tonight. How you feeling?
Just try and hang out there and do 600 miles and hope for a real good finish.
Are you tired?
Well, you know, I mean, 500 miles is one thing, but, you know, it's going to be a tough race here.
Good luck, John.
John Andretti, you drove Winston Cup, you drove IndyCars. What's next?
I'd still like to drive a Formula One car sometime, and, you know, and who knows, there's always something out there that really interests me, but they got to have 4 wheels, so I'm not going to drive any motorcycles, although I wouldn't mind driving a hydroplane boat.
How was he feeling on the ride down here?
Very well. He did quite well on the way down. He was relaxed. He got out of the car. He wasn't really tired at all. We had a nurse there to check all his vital signs. They gave him actually 2 liters of fluid just to make sure that he could go ahead here.
He had a good run at Indy. Top 10 finish?
Yeah, terrific. He was doing so well. I thought this was going to be the year he was going to win it. He ran in the top 3 most of the first half of the race, and then something happened in the handling of the car. The car got very loose, he said, and he fought it the last half of the race and fought to keep in the top 10, but we were proud of him to get in the top 10.
Well, we're proud that you're here and that he made it. This guy drove 4 big league race cars last year, IndyCars, Winston Cup, IMSA GTP, and a top fuel dragster. The impossible double today being performed by John Andretti. Thanks, Gary.
Yeah, thanks. He just did a terrific job. We flew down on a Canadair flight, and everything went perfectly.
I have key people in all the positions.
Come down, Wally.
Got a spin and a crash up in turn number 4, and it's John Andretti in the 14 as he wheeled it around.
Oh, he just lost the back end of the thing. Where he took the air off of the back, off the spoiler right there, and he's probably pretty loose anyway.
Okay, guys, I got Jeff Andretti here who made history. John, you had a tough day. What happened?
I don't know, Rusty. It was, you know, we were just struggling along, and you know, we just didn't get the handling of the car as close, you know, we like, but, you know, that's not here or there. We just wanted to keep lasting. We thought we might outlast them, but unfortunately broke the crankshaft.
Well, you've done a great job up in Indianapolis, finishing 10th. How was your trip down here?
Oh, it was great. Flew in a Challenger, and those are always nice, and got to be helicoptered in, so I didn't have to be here so early. I got the...
Okay, well, guys, he got me back. I called him Jeff, and he called me Rusty. You made history, man. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Back up, y'all.
While the results didn't meet his goals, John amazed everyone with his tremendous feat.
All in all, everybody worked as well as they could with me on it, and the teams were sensational as far as getting the cars ready and giving me good race cars. We didn't exactly have a good day at Indy, and we even had a worse day at Charlotte, but all in all, we got it all in, and I'd like to now go back and maybe make it a little bit better.
In 1997, Andretti planned to run the double again, but his plans were canceled by rain. A race at Talladega was rescheduled for pole day at Indianapolis, and meant John had to choose one or the other. In the years since 1994, only Tony Stewart, Robbie Gordon, and Kurt Busch have run both races on the same day, a tremendous achievement accomplished only by a select few.